Soda Manjinga, eh. Soda Manjinga. Soda Manjinga, capoeira, Soda Manjinga. Soda Manjinga, Soda Manjinga. Soda Manjinga, capoeira, Soda Manjinga. Give thanks and praise. You fabulous dissidents, welcome back. Rocking my Anichian Skywalker mustachio. Now that I know the power of provocation that the mustache provides, figured I would rock out with my Nietzschean Skywalker, Nietzschean Skinwalker look. So yeah, check out my face, y'all. I got lots more than you ever knew. So I have been really busy all week. I want to give thanks and praise to my buddy Topher Gartner over in the BioCharisma channel at biocharisma.com. We did a wonderful show quite a few weeks back, and I just went back and watched it and gleaned a great many treasures from the comment section over on that weave. So thank you for joining us, and if you missed it, I'm going to add that to my new playlist that I just fired up. I've got a new playlist on the Slick Dissident YouTube channel, and it's essentially all of my endeavors with the community in live streaming. And something that was really fun as I was kind of selecting my body corpus from other channels, it actually organized them chronologically. And I'm so glad YouTube did that for me, because I have no idea what was when. I did not want to go checking the dates. So it's very nice that my endeavors on other channels actually has chronological fidelity. So that's on offer over on the playlist. Also, I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers, y'all. Let's get this happening. 4,000 subscribers. That's pretty monumental. So I want to give thanks to everybody who is here thus far. And let's see what happens. Let's push it over. What's the phrase that all the YouTube mouths were spewing for so long? Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. That was like some kind of weird mantra. Still is. All right. So, also, before I wander off, don't let me forget, slickdissident.com is a link down below, along with my Cash App and my PayPal. I've got a lot of t-shirts and merchandise on offer for the masses. So please check out my website and spread the love. Let's see if we get to 4,000. That's going to be something pretty special for me. All right. So today's installation is everywhere, everything, all at once. Yeah. Everything, everywhere, all at once is a Notoricon for Michelle Yao's last name. All right. So I have quite a broad swath of topics that I'm going to install on this episode. And it really is, it's far and wide. But I need to deposit these thoughts and these trail markers for some future research that's going to be built out upon this. So I'm trying to organize my thoughts around what I want to deposit here today. And in organizing those thoughts, I think it's best that I start with where we are in time right now, with this cosmic alignment of remember the 5th of November. This is actually the gunpowder plot. I just watched a little documentary. Started the day of giving thanks in England. They were grateful that the plot was thwarted. But even back then, they suspected the government of instilling this dread that actually gave Jesuits free rein to travel. The 5th of November plot gave the Jesuits carte blanche to move across borders internationally. And just today, some dumbass, Philippi, was caught up in a plot to fly a drone to shut down the power grid. And sure enough, just like Guy Fawkes, it was all FBI heads that were giving him the ideas, fueling his play. So yeah, we are commemorating, celebrating, and ritualizing our movement through these alignments. Now, remember what I'm always talking about with the superchiasmatic nuclei. You know, the stars and the light cycles are exactly as they were right now. They're exactly as they were when the Guy Fawkes event happened. Therefore, the drama has a frequency that is harmonizing back through our epigenetic memory. That is how you hit them in the pressure points. And so today is a pressure point, has been for a long time. In the UK, they turned this day into their day of giving thanks, which evolved into kids trick-or-treating somewhat, the slaves taking power over the masters, kind of a Saturnalian Halloween Thanksgiving amalgam is actually all born out of today. And they separated those concepts conceptually and dragged them out through the winter. So in the United States, that Day of Thanks from the UK became Pope's Day. They celebrated it on the East Coast very actively, and then that became the transgressive parade in Boston, where the North Shore Company and the South Shore Company, just like kayfabe in wrestling, these two companies were competing for whose parade was going to take the show. And then that turns into more kayfabe that leads into the American Revolutions on the 5th of November, this parade on Pope's Day. So yeah, this day has been commemorated through mass trauma events and sensationalism. It's like a day for sensationalism. It's something fabulous. Also, today is the South Taurid meteor showers popping off at the max, and they are located in Cetus. Cetus is the sea monster that represents Leviathan. Leviathan is the name of Thomas Hobbes' social contract. When he was operating under the divine right of kings, Thomas Hobbes' social contract is distinctly different from Jean-Jacques Rousseau's. But so here's the Cetus constellation. South Taurid meteor showers are kind of doing this weird floating process. I think they're going towards Taurus. So the South Taurid meteor showers for months now have actually been fading in and out, progressing slowly over towards Taurus. And today is their peak expression. That is to say, they're the brightest, it's the most dense of meteors per hour, so to say. So today is the pinnacle of all of that on the 5th of November. Always has been, always will. And it doesn't just stop today, it actually fades out over a prolonged period too. Turns into the North Taurid meteor showers, which seem to be just a continuation above the ecliptic plane. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just above the ecliptic plane, moving along as now it's the North Taurid meteor showers. And then it goes into the Leo meteor showers. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So I just wanted to kind of bring people back up onto the meteor showers, peaking today on the day of misprision. Bring your graphic. Misprision is my summary of what I believe elections really are. To vote is a religious observation. It's a religious observance. This votive offering that people do and sacrifice so much with this one single religious act. You know, people keep fighting over what we're going to call the God-shaped hole in the heart of every man. Some people call it state. Some people call it the state. All right. So today's election day, and I'm going to bring a little graph of the planetary placements today. Get my magic stick. Today, now the sun is in, Scorpio. Yep, we're officially in Scorpio. However, the Moon, Mercury, and Venus are all coming together in Sagittarius. And today, the Moon and Venus are dry humping each other. The Moon and Venus are scissoring in the sky today, right next to Mercury. This is wonderful. Ara Altair. Ara Altair is a minor deacon in Sagittarius. And essentially, if Ophiuchus were to bleed, Ophiuchus, January 22nd, excuse me, February
November
22nd to the 27th, if Ophiuchus bleeds, yep, you can see it. So Ophiuchus, his one foot is balancing on the arrow of Sagittarius and the tail of Scorpio. Some people will tell you that it's almost like Antares, right? Antares. It's as though Antares were puncturing the heel of Ophiuchus. If his blood drips from that puncture, there's blood on the altar. It drops right down onto the altar. The blood dripping onto the altar. And today, Venus and the Moon are scissoring each other on the altar. And Venus is watching, or Mercury is watching. That is where the planets are. That's pretty fascinating. I should talk more about, Antares being a royal star. It is an anagram for traitors. Antares. I had a whole, on my live stream, I was asking for anagrams out of Antares, and it's a schizophrenic anagram for Saturn. But yeah, treason. No, that was it. Treason. Excuse me. Antares is an anagram for treason. Also, a loose anagram for Saturn. All of that is where Venus, the Moon, and Mercury are right now. That's really something. The ceremonial potentia just gets richer and richer the more literate I am. All right, some more notes. So that's on the planetary placements today. And, oh, yes, don't let me forget that Uranus went into retrograde on September 1st, essentially. It's kind of hazy because they don't go to full retrograde right away. They have a slowdown period and a shadow, and then the full retrograde is a few days after the initiation of the retrograde. But September 1st is Exon Analima, and that's when Uranus went into retrograde. It was a few days later that James Earl Jones dies. Same day that a 14-year-old discovers the Archimedean laser beam. 9/9, a 19-year-old invents the laser beam of the Death Star. And James Earl Jones, who played Darth Vader, dies on the same day. Uranus has been in full retrograde since then. It comes out of retrograde on January 30th. Pretty much around Dolphinus and Cygnus, the swan, and Pegasus. Also Grus, the goose. That is the neighborhood of the calendar where Uranus will cease its retrograde and come out of that observance. I find that really wonderful. And we will be building on this fact going forward because the next Navaratri, January 29th. January 29th is the initiation of the Mahagupta Fall Navaratri of 2025. Starts on January 29th on a Wednesday. That is Shalaputri's first day of a 9 to 10 day ceremony. And then February 4th is the day I'm paying attention to because of Ka'alratri. Again, the chump ear castration happened on Ka'alratri Day. Comet Atlas, snicker snacking the Jabberwocky, happened on Ka'alratri in the fall. And now we're 180 degrees away from the chump Mahagupta Summer Navaratri. We're down in the fall on February 4th, and that is the next Ka'alratri. Then the Thursday, February 6th, it's a Siddhidatri, is the end of the ceremony. I'm going to pause. I got a phone call coming in. Give thanks and praise. Little election day call from Mom. She is going to hang out with Grandma. The matriarchs are converging. Makes me want to retract my scissor statement from earlier. That's gross. All right. That's gross. Yeah, leave it to Mom to call in the middle of the weave and make things weird. All right. Venus, Mercury, the Moon, all in Sagittarius, right on top of Ara Altair. Ara Altair, the shape of it is pivotal for me. And I'm using these words very craftily. As when you take the Ara Altair shape and you invert it upside down, and you place it on the Enneagram, it is exactly the shape of these crucial frequencies. So follow my finger here. This is 571. A lot of people will tell you about the 517 frequency or the 715. All these numbers, no matter how you arrange them, they are sacred frequencies. Did I do that right? Yep. Nope, I didn't do that right. Correction. 417 is a sacred frequency, articulating this particular angle on the number 1. That is the Ara Altair shape. 582 is the other frequency, or 285, 258, all these numbers, they add into the devil's tone. No matter how you arrange these trines, these 3 numbers, they harmonize to articulations and potentias of the devil's tone. And I'm just going to float that out there, and visually I'll try to confirm it for people, and you guys can take this and run with it. There's so much more to these truths that the Ara Altair is immortal in the Enneagram. Oh, man, it's where the Stingray Nebula is at. This is perplexing. This is very perplexing. Socrates was known for torpedo fishing his enemies. Man, this is also the touchstone of all capoeira moves, is rooted in the rea, the habajihaya, the tail of the stingray. Yeah, so much truth to Ara Altair being the bedrock, the touchstone, the fundamental, the table of the magi. It's beautiful, and it's right here. All right, so yeah, Luna and Venus getting down on the Ara Altair. Mercury is cucked out in the corner. All right. Uranus comes out January 30th. Okay, right. And I ran everybody through the Navaratri, and I told everybody the dates I'm looking for. February 4th on a Tuesday, I hope I said that right, is the Kalratri Day. The whole thing culminates in February 6th, Siddhartri Day. So keep an eye out for some of those weaves coming forward over the next few months. All right. Next, I want to move into some really far out stuff. So if anybody caught my show with Topher, big ups, much love, Topher. That was a really fascinating show, and I had mentioned it also on Interverse briefly in passing, that at the end of the last Navaratri, on essentially, what was that, October 11th. Yep, October 11th was the end of Navaratri. That was Siddhidatri's last observance. It's the next day is a finishing ceremony. They call it Vijay Dasami. It has other names, all these wild names. And October 12th was the closing ceremony for the Fall Navaratri this year. That morning, I had a whim, a very self-initiated whim. This was not algorithmically offered to me. It wasn't an observation. I'm trying to convince myself that my algorithm did not give this to me that I sought this out, and that is the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. They came across my radar on October 12th. Started listening, researching, studying its ramifications, and sure enough, come to find out, uh, Screw Tape Letters are pivotal. I didn't study them in high school. A lot of my friends I was talking to about them, apparently a lot of people did Screw Tape Letters as in their high school reading regimen. I did not, so this was my first pass through it. It was so profound. It was so profound. C.S. Lewis, you drop his middle name, and his name is basically Clues. His name is Clues. I perceive the Screw Tape Letters as a training gymnasium for the anagram, because he's dealing with vices and virtues in the context of social engineering. That book is absolutely pivotal. And as I read through it, I could completely see the interdependency of the personality stations of the Enneagram playing off each other in a bit of a Angrimanu, the disintegrating potential, or the Sapintumanu, which is the integrating potential, the two ways that the Enneagram can work to build or work to deconstruct. And a lot of people get caught up with like, oh, if you're building, that is good, so this is beneficial. And if you're deconstructing, that is bad, so this is negative. There's some dogma in the Sapantimanu and Angrimanu dynamic of integrating and disintegrating on the Enneagram. I just want to say that I think the Screw Tape Letters are designed to articulate how to disintegrate a society or a personality type. And I think C.S. Lewis was telling us that essentially, if you invert this formula, you will find integration in a society or an individual. So I just wanted to put that on everyone's radar, that the Screw Tape Letters are highly beneficial. But it blows my mind because it was the end of the day when my mind is just lit up from this book. It dawns on me that it's Aleister Crowley's birthday. It's crazy. Lon Mailu-Duquette, big ups, much love, Lon. Yeah, he came on the air and did a broadcast for Crowley Moss, and I just exploded. First of all, that the entire cover art of the Screw Tape Letters is so close to the Hermit card, and our buddy old Lon, he comes on the air that day and he's wearing these exact colors. He's basically dressed up in the cover art of the Screw Tape Letters, or at least the cover art that the book I was reading was wrapped up in. It's pretty fascinating. Very Santa-esque, right? The Crowley Moss popping the same day that I read the Screw Tape Letters. Now, yeah, whatever. Auguries, schmaugeries, but as I'm reading the Screw Tape Letters, it comes into my mind that lasciviousness is the number 8, the vice of the number 8. This is lust. The number 8 personality is a controller, domineer with a shadow of lust. Controller, domineering, shadow of lust, remedial virtue of sympathy. That is their eudaimonic ideal for this number 8 personality type. Man, I'm reading his book, and he's talking about lasciviousness, and he's describing its dynamic, how it functions, its telos, and it dawns on me. Alcibiades is an anagram, a loose anagram for lascivious. Lascivious and Alcibiades. You could even, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So then I look at Heliogabalus, 600 years later, and I realize this lasciviousness is kind of a password to those in the know. The controllers back in the days were the church. They were the number 8 controllers because they had chastity. Chastity was their special boy mantle. Chastity is the Catholic's remedial virtue for a controller, personality type. That's their remedial virtue for Asmodeus, I should say it that way. But Nietzsche recommends sympathy instead of chastity, and that has opened so much for me in my Enneagram recognition. So, lasciviousness and Alcibiades, and I get a big fat pat on the back for following the C. Lewis. The C. Lewis. Now, I'm looking at C.S. Lewis's name. That W in the Lewis could be a V. The W could be a V and a U, in which case C.S. Lewis has a bit of a lascivious in his name. Schizophrenic anagram, of course. It's not perfect. Close enough is perfect. Plausible reliability. All right. So yeah, screw tape letters. Oh, geez, here I go. Okay, here I go. All right. Quite a few episodes back, I was buzzing on K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z being very cunningly encoded in the Fool card. And it led me to look up St. Pierre Island, where I found their heraldry to be highly correspondent to this Fool card. And sure enough, I put their heraldry up against this Fool card, and a lot of fascinating correspondences came to light right away. And something that I just had just on my periphery was the fact that the island of St. Pierre, that seems to have heraldry that corresponds to the Fool card, they have a ship on their heraldry, a boat, a gigantic boat, which was really fascinating because I'm talking about Pierre Sobek, foot air Sobek. This is the Sobek on shoes. This is the subconscious. And when I look at this island of St. Pierre, it has a nickname, Hell's Mouth. Hell's Mouth is the nickname for this really dangerous harbor. It had over 600 shipwrecks. It's like the world's one of the highest concentrations of shipwrecks is in Hell's Mouth. So that just was a very intriguing dive that I did quite a while back. And I'm thinking about that ship on their heraldry, as K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z is always talking about ships and nautical coded languages. And I'm just keeping that Hell's Mouth. Isn't it fascinating? Think of, like, some people might say poetically that the subconscious is the mouth of hell, is the Hell's Mouth. Your subconscious is going into some realms of profound chaos. Well, sure enough, I just had that fact on my shelf. Then I start studying, what's his name? Foucault. Michel Foucault. Did some deep dives on leper colonies in the history of the Lazar houses. And sure enough, the Lazar houses, the leopard houses, were put in place by the Knights Hospitallers. And these places of hospitality were established and left as a remnant of the Crusades and justified by giving home and charity to lepers far and wide. So I'm looking into the history of the Lazar house, and now everybody should be thinking about Bob Lazar. Sobek on shoes, K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z, flying UFO ships, all right? Just keep all of that in mind. We are totally buzzing down the UFO tomfoolery, the foolishness. All right. Lazar houses are named after Lazarus because they're kept on the outskirts. And I believe that leper colonies are the best place to hide the most sacred of implements because nobody will go in to violate them. It's the best place to hide something. It's almost like, you think about if you kill an alien from Aliens, its blood is acid and it gets on you and you die. So there's a a leper's colony would have the same fact, that you wouldn't want to harm anybody. You wouldn't want to do harm in a leper colony. You wouldn't even want to be in the same camp for months or years to come, unless you did some sort of raising to the ground of the energies. So sure enough, the Lazar houses had a famous Lazar house in the UK called Saint Germain. Saint Germain Lazar house is one of the most famous ones that Foucault studied. Germain is an anagram for Enneagram, y'all. Straight up. So the Lazar houses turned into insane asylums, essentially. They shut down a great many of them as leprosy faded out of existence. There is a very keystone leper colony in Hawaii, but I'm not going to buzz on that. I just need people to know that there is a very crucial, in terms of preserving artifacts, the language of the leper colony in Hawaii is a treasure of treasures. You run that up against some Tamil language, and I bet you find some deep, deep Metatron truths right there. But I'm not going down that road. I just wanted to stay on these insane asylums. Sure enough, the insane asylums also, much like the Lazar houses, they also had a common denominator, and that was a thing that is called the Narrenschiff, or the Navis Shift, and that is the boat of fools. And so I'm looking at Pierre Sabak, I'm looking at Saint Pierre and their heraldry, and that ship on their heraldry, right next to the mouth of hell. And I'm wondering, is there a leper colony on the island of Saint Pierre? Is there a location where the Argo Navis, the ship of fools, was known to deposit the insane? There's a great amount of history around that. So I'm looking back on this Pierre Island. Has another name. It's a longer name. I have a lot of studying to do to bring some of these facts together. I just want to put them on the record now because I discovered that Hell's Mouth is also the location of Aleister Crowley's, one of his largest elaborate hoaxes that he ever did. He faked a suicide letter and left it at Hell's Mouth, the entrance of a cave in Lisbon. Different location, but also coastal. And he leaves his suicide letter, and his buddy, Fernando Pessoa, gets involved in the hoax. And so this is a rabbit trail that I'm going to follow, because while I'm looking at Crowley's Fool card and finding harmonic resonance to the images of the island of Saint Pierre that is called Hell's Mouth, now I have found that Crowley has run an elaborate hoax and left a suicide letter at the cave entrance called Hell's Mouth. So this weave will be to be continued, but I want to focus on elaborate hoax. Elaborate hoax is exactly how you destroy Occam's razor. The more elaborate you make it, it's a filter for the mundane minded. For people who don't have the creative generative principle, they're going to cuddle up to Occam's razor like a little comfort blanket, like Linus. Meanwhile, the elaborate hoax is something of a screening out. Yeah, so I'm on it. I'm going to chase that down. This guy, Fernando Pessoa of Portugal, was a real character. You want to talk about folks ended up in the madhouse, this guy was a real character. But there is a beautiful contrast between he and Crowley's personality types. So I'm going to get on that, and I'll let you guys know what I turn up. But I just wanted to kind of pick up where I left off with this Hell's Mouth mystery. Why is it on the Fool card? What does it have to do with anything? Sure enough, elaborate hoax is calling out. It is calling out. Okay. Last but not least, I want to talk about FEMA the doctrine of necessity, and Occam's razor. Fema is a goddess of the Greeks, and sometimes now when I hear that the Greeks considered this person a goddess, I'm starting to wonder if we're using the word goddess incorrectly. But, I wonder if there's more categories of in the cherubims, Ophanim, thrones, principalities, I forget all 9 layers, archangels. I wonder if English uses the word god or goddess inaccurately to a high loss of aperture. That we use the word goddess or god, we're actually failing on a 9-folded scale to be accurate. We're being way too vague. Anyway, Phoebe, F-E-M-E or F-A-M-A, I think, P-H-A-M-A or P-H-E-M-E. Her name is spelled all different ways. She is the muse, goddess of rumors. She who multiplies, she who furthers and increases information. That is fascinating. As FEMA is kind of like the whip, It's like the whip that they're constantly threatening to move in with the FEMA. And the doctrine of necessity is the bedrock of the Magna Carta. And it turns out Magna Carta and habeas corpus are not in my comfort zone. Our relationship today is nothing to take comfort in regards to the habeas corpus and the Magna Carta. However, the doctrine of necessity is rooted in the Magna Carta, D-O-N, Don, doctrine of necessity, Don. And then, when the less than natural disasters popped off this last month, a lot of people were trying desperately to invoke Occam again. People want things simple, and their simpleton-mindedness and their parsimonious fascination, they're really being greedy is what they are. Parsimony is greed. It's a number 5 personality type. Is Occam? Agathon? Their parsimony is a plea because they are unable to afford belief. They are unable to perceive beyond what is plain, what is simplified, because they want mastery over it. They want to give it a name. And if the name is something that they don't have psychic control over, then they feel belittled. Yeah, some people's aperture is just desperately narrow. Maybe that's really how usury works. Keep their aperture small. All right. So I want to end with this aspect of Occam's razor, this plausible deniability versus plausible reliability. Think of it. Plausible deniability is a vow, an oath, a pledge to poverty. Plausible reliability is an optimist's boon. You are opening yourself up to wealth. You are giving yourself permission to afford more information, not less. I'm thinking of the parsimony of Occam as it relates to the number 5, observer, with the shadow of greed, avarice. The root of avarice, linguistically, Hebrews. All right. I think I'm going to shut up with all that. I did have one more topic. I'm thinking about FEMA and FAMA. Your family name is your fame. That's how people would recognize you. You'd be like, oh, you got the same, are you related? And and then the context is increased when you find out their family name, and now you know them more deeply. Fama, the rumors. She who furthers and increases information. When you learn a person's fama, you have greater context for what they mean. I'm thinking about fama and her functional value. Like we think of rumors as negative. We think of rumors or increasing as intrinsically negative. We put a dark spin on Femi or whatever her name is. But damn, if during a hurricane you go and you get on a billboard and you find where the missing people are, well, you're using their fama to find them. You know what I mean? So yeah, your family name. I just want to put that in a positive light as it relates to FEMA, right? And then I want to think about this was from Topher, big ups Topher. FAMA, L-E, female, ding, 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 ding. How do we increase? Got to come through the sacred portal, y'all. You got to come through the sacred portal. And sometimes you get lucky and you get two of them at once. Triplets, quadruplets. She who increases. I'm wondering, is this fama le? Is la fama? Is she the yoni verse? Is she the yoni verse? When we say yoni verse, everybody thinks about space and nighttime lights in the sky. When we say yoni verse, are we talking about the future generations? Are we talking about the future generations? Are we extending the paradigm unto those who have not even come yet? I wonder if the Yoniverse is actually all future generations. All right. Now that is a nice one to end up on. I want to drop a little weave on the Kuji-in of the ninjutsu. I did this fun little trick over on the One-on-One podcast on Halloween night, in fact. And I just want to install it onto the Slick Dissonant works. And I want everybody to forgive me in advance because there is a great amount of misappropriation that is going to take place. It already has. We're way beyond that, but I want to apologize for reappropriating the ninjutsu Kuji-in into the Enneagram because this isn't out of the textbooks. So anybody whose panties are in a wad, you're welcome. Okay. The 9 Kuji-in are 9 hand mudra of the East at large. Turns out you can find people doing this in China. You can find people doing this in India. This is not exclusive to the ninja. However, the ninja are known for utilizing and hiding the occult to a increased degree. And I do have reason to believe that the Kuji-in does relate to the Enneagram deeply, and I will be building out the case for that. However, I think it'll be fun if I just give a quick hand tutorial as we walk through and also translate the phrase. So we're starting just like a clock. If this was 12 o'clock, the first station, number 1, is Rin. I love trilling excessively. Rin. Pyo. Do. Actually. Sha. Kai. Jin. Retsu. Sai. Zin. Rin Shou Po Shakai Zin Richu Zai Zin. Not that good yet. The 9-hand mudras of the ninja have totally popped up on my radar, and I'm having a real good time with it because some of these glyphs actually fit onto some of the truths of the Enneagram I've already discovered. I just want to share the phrase as it translates, and it's not in order. It's not, the phrase is spoken. K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z is the order of the words. However, when you translate them into English, there's some dancing going around in the order of the language. So the full translation of that phrase: all soldiers going to battle are vanguard in formation on the front line. All soldiers going to battle are the vanguard in formation on the front line. Vanguard. It's literally what it translates to. Vanguard. So I took that sentence and rearranged it onto the Enneagram in its English orientation. I've reoriented the words as they translate into English. And so this is how you would read it if you were reading the sentence in its English order. K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z. What's really neat, this is just me playing with pattern recognition. Ritsu stays in the 7. Pyo stays in the 2. I'm pretty sure those are the only... Oh, and Zen stays at the top. So those are the only ones that do not alter. What is really fascinating is that Ritsu is notoriously rooted in the symbolism of the sword. Socrates, number 7 on the Enneagram, is the best swordsman in Athens. On number 7, the Chariot card, is the glyph Chet. Oh no, it's number 6, has the glyph for sword. The Lover's card has the glyph for sword on it. However, the Chariot card, number 7. Oh, and K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z, even K.R.P.T.S.K.J.R.Z.Z is one of the only ones with the sword. She has that big question mark sword in her hands. And what did Socrates ask to sacrifice on his last day in the world? What was his final request? We owe a U-S-T-E-R to Asclepius. We owe an U-S-T-E-R to Asclepius. His final words. Retsu, rooster. It's right here. There's a great deal more. There's a great deal more rooted in this. Socrates' name is satiric. Is an anagram for satiric. The satiric secret of the Retsu rooster sword has a great amount of consistency cross-culturally. All right. And with that, big love and respect. Thank you for coming by. Sorry for the scattered nature of the weaves, but I wanted to close off a couple old chapters and indicate the direction that some of these thought forms, some of these slick dissident logismoi, some of the direction they're going, some of the signposts along the journey, and also some of the fun experimental cultural appropriation, which you can't really claim because the Kuji-in is not exclusive to the ninja. And if it's not exclusive to the ninja, let's have some fun with it, right? All right, y'all. Big love and respect. Check me out, slickdissident.com. Also, this Friday, going on with Emily Moyer. Tomorrow, I'm on at Interverse with Chance and our buddy PK and Kyle. We're all going to do the Great Whiteboard Brotherhood, Part 2. We're going to have a reconvening of the council of wise, mustachioed badasses. All right, y'all. Much love and respect. Peace and love.